Hello, and welcome. I am Shawanna Kennedy, your self-first strategist and mental wellness advocate. And yes, it is about you, and you. I'm excited that you are joining me today. Yes, we have a very special guest that is coming on, Jackie E Smith. She is a licensed therapist, and I'm excited because we have a lot of stuff to get into. Thank you so much, the people that have already sent in your questions. She is standing by in the green room, look, our virtual green room, and is geared up and ready to go. For those who don't know, yes, I'm Shawanna Kennedy. I get the opportunity to do corporate training as well as speaking, and I've been able to do this self-first work and be able to share with other people around the globe. And I get, you guys, I'm big on it. I get to do this with you. So right now, thank you for tuning in. I ask you to go ahead. Let's get this shared out to as many people as possible. We really do have some juicy questions that have come in. There are some touchy questions that will be discussed on this live today. And it is so for those who may not even be on social media, just let your family and friends know that it will be going out too. And right now, streaming live on YouTube. So make sure that you are definitely following me on all social media platforms. Again, I'm Shawanna. I'm excited. Y'all already know. Yes, I cheer for you. So with this episode, with this show, it's about red, white, blue, and you. What does that look like? What actually stresses you out? What calms you, right? What gets you going? Remember, because all stress is not bad stress, and we're going to even kind of touch on some of that today. To know that there are good forms of stress, and you need to be okay to know how to move when those things and those situations arise. So get ready. She is here. I do not want to waste any more time. I want to get my special guest in this space. I want to get them in here because your questions need to be answered. I have 2-3 pages full of questions from each of you. And yes, go ahead. Let me know that you can hear me when she comes on. I want to make sure that we can hear everybody. And I also want to know and make sure that your questions are being answered. So please respond in the comments. Make sure you're interactive. So while we get ready to do this, I'm getting ready to bring, it is Jackie E Smith. She is West Coast. So right now, it's a little bit early for her, but because of this important topic, this subject, you know how I feel about self-care and mental wellness. I'm definitely an advocate. I champion that because the healthier we get and the more freer we get to have it as a norm, not a new norm, make it normal for us to have these candid conversations. I believe we all will be better off, and the people that we get to serve will benefit from it all the more. So without further delay, let me get my guest, Jackie E. Smith on our screen. So thank you so much. Here she comes. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you? Can you hear me? Everything's good?
Yes.
You hear me all right? Okay. So guys, let us know in the comments if you can hear us okay, right? I don't want to miss a thing. I want to make sure that everybody can hear myself as well as Jackie in here all good. So I'm excited. This is Saturday. It's self-care Saturday, which means it has to be about you. You know how I feel about mind, body, and soul, right? And just so we can even clear the record, we're definitely both women of faith. We believe in we know who our Lord and Savior is. So let's just get that. Let's just, establish that going out the gate. All right. So anything that you see here, so we have an expert, right? We have an expert that is in our midst today. And I'm excited about that. I'm super, super excited. So I see, yes, they're saying that they could hear us well. We know that sometimes in the stream, there may be a delay, but me and you, we're going to keep on going. And if any of your questions, just put them in there, and I will make sure, even if we have to go ahead and schedule a part two, look, hint, hint, a part two, to make sure that we get your questions answered, because she's definitely uh, capable, able to handle what may be discussed here today. So, Jackie, for those who do not know you and this is their first time meeting you and being introduced to you, because what some people don't know is, without telling our age, right? But y'all know me, I ain't ashamed of my age. We go back,
Like
what is
babies
it,
in
30?
pacifier.
Yeah, we long time running, and I'm blessed to have had her in my life at an early age, and grateful to God to allow us to still have our connection. And it's always nice to have professionals, right? Especially in the mental health field, someone that you can pick up the phone or send a text message to when you are possibly in crisis. I'm definitely a person who she knows a lot of my backstory and has helped me through some of the toughest times in my life, whether it was with me personally, whether it has to, something that possibly was due to my children and their concerns, or even in marital things, marital matters. She has come in and been a support and an advisor and a counselor for a lot of the areas in my life, and that's why I believe she is definitely most fitting to be here with us today. So tell the people who you are, and give us a little bit more about Miss Jackie E Smith.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So I am a licensed therapist with the Arizona Board of Behavior Health, and I've been in the field for now like 6, 7 years roughly. Kind of always knew I wanted to do it, but kind of running from what you know you need to do. And then I finally buckled down, went back to school, made it happen. Been the best decision of my entire life. I think I was actually helping people unlicensed prior to that. I think you could probably agree to that. So, but I love it. It's a passion for me. I truly enjoy it. Every day I get up to go to work, it still to this day doesn't feel like work, which kind of lets you know you're kind of in alignment with your gift and what God has you to do here.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I see people are coming on. I see the hearts. I see the loves. Thank you, thank you, thank you for those who are sharing. Again, it is so important that we make these conversations normal, right? We need to be okay to openly express when there is a need in this area. Being on this journey openly for a few years now, I'm graced, and I'm so grateful to God that He has allowed the person, me, to be able to, like you said, assist other people to be able to voice when they need actually help, when they need help, when they need a conversation, when particularly they may even need a prescription. So I'm excited as we are on the second half of this amazing year, right? Because despite what everything looks like, we still get a choice of how we choose to look at certain situations. So in this, us being going into the second half of an amazing year, this conversation is definitely needed. So what I want to jump into, one of the very first questions, because again, so thank you for sending your questions in, and I am definitely looking at the comments so that we can get those answered right here live, your live questions answered right now while we're here on with Jackie. What does mental health mean to you? Is it the same as happiness, or is it the absence of mental illness? What does mental health mean to you?
To me?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to go back a little bit just to kind of hit on something you said, Shawanna, a little bit ago about African Americans and mental health. I think that is a big area of opportunity for us to get better and to raise the awareness so that can be more socially acceptable, so we can actually get the help and get healed, so we can kind of live in our desired place. In reference to mental health and happiness, they're absolutely separate. I do think that mental health can impact your happiness, right? Without a doubt. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. However, happiness is all about you. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not a person, it's not a place, it's not things, it's not a relationship, it's not people. And I think sometimes we often, because we have to learn that, we often forget that, oh, if I get this new car, that's going to do it. I get this new house, that's going to do it. If I buy this new handbag, that's going to do it. And it is not related to that. And we often quickly recognize that once we get the actual object. And so you have to remember that absolutely come from you. And it has to do with a lot of self-acceptance, self-esteem, things like that that impact how you feel. And it also impacts your outlook into the world, which thus creates that happiness that you may or may not have.
Yeah, and even with what you just said, because it's definitely things that I stress with self-first movement. And how would, because of what I talk about, right? When God released me to be able to call it what it is, right? It is about you, never above him, but it is about you. How would you help someone that's even listening for the first time when they hear the term, yeah, I am putting me first. I'm putting me first. How could you help somebody to be even bolder and okay to say, yes, I'm putting me first. Yes, I'm as I call it, self-firsting. How would you help somebody to even be able to say and articulate, this is what's going on with me, and so they can authentically say that without feeling that they have to owe an apology with saying something like that? Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. I want to speak to it though, because I think we as women, and I'm going to stab a little bit and go a little bit extra, African American women, we want to take care of everybody else first. And I think that we got to go back to a core foundation of, I can't help you if I'm not already helped and healed myself. It can't happen. So I think we kind of got to shift, right? Because sometimes we feel that selfish mode of like, well, if I go, I mean, how many times have your mothers, any of your mothers on here now, if you go out and you buy yourself something, that guilt kicks in immediately, like, well, I should buy them something too. Well, I'm telling you, you shouldn't, right? You could do it because you got to take care of yourself too. You got to make sure you're healthy. You got to make sure that you're all in, that you're firing on all cylinders. Minus that, they're only getting a portion of you anyway. That means your sisters, your husband, your kids, your job. It doesn't matter. So until you do shift to make yourself first, it is gonna be everything after that, every relationship that follows that is not gonna get the full version of you. But if you're in a good space and you're healthy, you're taking care of yourself, people are gonna get every single bit of you. I'm gonna stab one little thing right here, so don't forget I'm a therapist, I will talk, so stop me. But I'm gonna say one little thing right
also
here.
with that though, yeah, you were saying about that being balanced.
Go ahead.
No, go. No, what do you do? Add into their. Yeah.
No, go, because I'm done. Go ahead.
It's okay. I know there is a small delay, so we got that in, because I want you to finish your thought. I do. So in there though, add in what it is that you do to even help keep you somewhat balanced. So continue with what you were saying.
Oh, I love massages. A member of a spa, Fuchsia Spa in Arizona, shout out. And I make sure that I'm there. I don't hesitate, and I don't even apologize for it. I like to take trips. I haven't been doing much lately with COVID, obviously, like all of us, but I make sure that I go away and reset. And I kind of was speaking to what Shawanna was saying. I remember when I first started, even when I was dating, being in this field, I had to even protect that energy. Like, well, if this ain't gonna line up, that means I'm not gonna get to work and be absolutely ready for everything that walks through the door. And so I had to protect that energy. And so a lot of times I had to walk away from a lot of situations. But you have to apply that same concept in every area. Mm-hmm. So I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. For me, it's exciting because you definitely are licensed. I'm certified, but you're licensed. So it's wonderful to hear that the things that I talk about, or that I assist others in, and directing them to even to speak to someone like you're really spot on with everything that it is that I that I promote, that I champion,
Nice.
that I advocate for. So for me, I'm excited over here. You already know I have my pom pom. And just so people know, yes, you just saw me for the first time. For some of you, I not only cheer for you, but I challenge you. I challenge you to do what you need to do. I challenge you to make the necessary phone call. I challenge you to do the self work to build your confidence, to build the esteem. So I not only cheer with, and pom pom stands for power over mindset, power over me. So it's not just Shawanna saying, oh, she has this shiny object and it's fitting for this, but no, I am a champion and I advocate. So yes, I'm cheering, I'm rooting for you to do what you need to do for you. So in that, it's people, that's why I actually affectionately call Pom Pom. For some people who don't even recognize or know my name, when I started this journey and began to, use the Pom Pom as one of the things that God showed me in freedom for myself, because we have to know how to cheer for ourselves.
Yes.
Oftentimes people are not free to put themselves first because they're waiting for the applause of others. They're waiting for the applause of others. So I had to learn how to, of course, people know scripture that speaks to encouraging yourself. That was one of the ways that uh, practically I can encourage myself, because I need to know how to cheer for me. I need to know how, when I can't reach you, when I can't even possibly have a conversation with my spouse, hear from my kids or other people that are close to me, to have those conversations and wait for those applause of others. I need to know what it is on the inside of me, because we're talking about red, white, blue, and you, to supercharge me. So that is why you will see me with the pom pom, because I cheer, but I also challenge. That's even myself to do what I need to do daily. You spoke about happiness and it being a choice. So it's like even moving, going deeper, I should say, and far, and opening it up to the joy. Because when we tap into the greater levels of happiness, it is supposed to blossom into joy. Like the explosions this weekend, we're going to hear fireworks going all out all over the weekend. And what is the thing that, tapping into people saying, what is that thing to get you going? What's that thing that causes you to say, I can do this, I will do this, I must do this? So let's jump into some more questions. How do you even begin to open up dialogue with people who you believe may possibly have some issues that could lean more towards mental health issues? How do you open that dialogue to start having that conversation with a loved one or a good friend?
You know what? I'm going to give you the word empower. Be empowered and empower yourself to have these conversations. Because just to be really honest, one of my strengths, I'm a truth teller naturally. And I thank God for that gift. I owe you the truth. Even in this industry, I more so owe you the truth. So be okay to have those conversations, as difficult as they may be, because I want you to know you're not helping if you're not telling them the truth, right? And I think if you kind of keep that in the back of your mind, you're going to know right away, I'm not helping if I don't tell them the truth. And just, empower yourself to say, be able to, even if nothing else, but just to identify what you see and what your concerns are.
That's good. That's real good. Because being empowered not only with yourself, but empowered to do what you feel actually is to a degree your responsibility. Like you said, it's part of your call. It's part of what you're called to do, which means that's why it is imperative that we do what we're supposed to do. Because everybody, if you're looking, you're listening, it is about you. There's always something. There's somebody who needs what you have. There's somebody that is waiting for you to continue to impact their space, whether you come in a room and you change the environment, the atmosphere in a good way, right? Because we know that there's bad spirits as well as good. That's why we have to be so. I know oftentimes, Jackie, especially if I go back to our school days, it's like I know if nothing else, people would be like, okay, Shawanna's the church girl. She the one that, okay, hey, I need you to pray for me, right? People need to know what can they really count on you to do, right? What can they count on you to do? And if you're saying it, you like you just said, if you have friends, Jackie has given me some tough talks. Yeah, some tough talks, some strong conversation, depending on how far gone I might have been. She's even possibly given me some strong language in love. How about that?
In love.
And we should have people in our space that in love that they can handle you not feeling like you have to walk on eggshells. How do you help people to feel like they have to walk on eggshells with loved ones in a case like that? How do you help that person to feel like they have to walk on eggshells, though?
You know what? Lovely. Because, and lovely that you asked it, because it's delivery. And I think sometimes we're so comfortable with friends and family that the delivery is just not good. Anybody would take offense. And I think that's when we have to, you know, be able to kind of fall back a little bit and let them know, like, you know, here's what I've seen or I've identified, and I have some concerns, and here's why. But I think sometimes if we start saying, you know what, you always do this, and you all, because we all know what that sounds like, we all are capable of doing it, but I think we also have to recognize it's not helpful. And I think that when people feel that you do care and that you do love them and that you are coming from a good space, then you're going to be able to do that. And they're going to be able to hear the message, and it'll be able to resonate. Wait, somebody's saying it's an echo. You know, I'll be doing 3 things at once.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is when you're speaking, I believe one thing that can help with that, and you guys will let us know as you're doing, so thank you. When you're speaking, I'm going to turn my mic off, and I'll turn it on when I need to speak, and vice versa. Like,
I can do that.
Because maybe that may help with some of that. Yeah. Even though we have all these beautiful bells and whistles, and you see we're all sparkly on here. So we still, you know, there are still some technical things but we do not stop our conversation because of that. So here is the next question. When you think about stress, because, right, you know, things are opening up. We know we've been a part of this pandemic, and people have concerns with even returning to work and being around other people. What is it that you can speak to about the concerns of people now all over the world? Things are opening up. People are traveling more. Speak to that, even as we're now in these summer months. And heck, I know for us, what school starts the first week of August. Speak to that, the concerns of the pandemic, things opening up, and this whole virus, the concerns with the mental stress of that part of it, the stress about that, and the effects and what that do to the body, what that does to the body.
Okay, great question too. So I'm not going to bring you down, but I'm going to just shoot out a few things that I've encountered even in my workspace. We've seen the highest rate of suicide we've ever seen. And we've seen the highest rate of attempted suicide than we've ever seen. And I need people to understand and know that the impacts of the pandemic is real. And you can act like it, like, you know, I'm okay, it's good, I just want to get out. It's impactful. It's going to impact your mind, your body, all of it. It's happening. And so you just have to make sure that you're tapped into that. The concerns are real and they're valid. I think we should all be taking it extremely serious. As we've all heard, it impacts African Americans. I don't even know the stats. I wish I did have them, but it impacts them way more than it does our counterparts. So we need to be really understanding of that, and then do our very best to make sure that we're keeping ourselves safe. I'm fully vaccinated, but I'm also wearing a mask. I still keep my distance. I still wash my hands. And vaccination is a choice, so that's not the debate for today. But at the same time, we got to understand we have a responsibility to keep ourselves safe, as well as keep other people safe as well. So whatever you're feeling, tap into it. I have a saying that I even have on my wall in my office: the only way out is in. So you can't go around it. You can't go under it. You can't take a shortcut. You can't go behind the mountain. You got to go right into it. So deal with whatever's happening for you either way. If you're stressed and you're feeling that fear, tap into that and see what you can do to be able to change that. Because that's the good news about, even though professional help is great, I'm going to always advocate for that. Understand and know you innately know what you need to do to correct some of the issues. A lot of times we just don't want to. And so remember that and keep that in your mind at all times. If someone says, oh, well, this happened and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, oh, well, what do you think you should do about that? Most people are like, oh, well, I don't know. And then the real answer will come after that, right? So I love to hear the I don't know, so I can get that out the way, right? And then the real answer will come subsequent. So you know what you need to do, and you can always roundtable it.
That's good. That's good, because everybody should have at least that one somebody that they can run something by, and that person should be what I call a safe place to land. Not that you spill all the beans, but you do need to have some type of tribe, right? Some type of ego, some type of system, some type of group. I don't care if it's one somebody, right? We know we have our have.
I just wanted to throw one thing in there, because you should have one person that will always tell you the truth. And you should love them enough to hear that truth and be accepting of it. Go ahead, I'm done. I just want to throw that.
No, I'm excited. I want this to be because they know, well, they don't know. I love the fact that we both are bold. We have big personalities, and yet we can still complement each other. So that is exciting for me. Some people, that doesn't always work, so they kind of bump heads. But I don't not only appreciate you and definitely proud of you, but it takes people like you to even continue to help people like me, to continue to allow me to want to grow, right? Yes, and for some of y'all that don't know, I can be a baby, but this is not that show. So yes.
No, and I appreciate your words. I mean, you've given me words back too. Let's be clear. You've given me some words that I didn't want to talk about. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to ease my way off the phone. I'll call her back next week. So I get it. But you still need it.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. What are the signs when someone is unaware of an issue or mental illness or some type of instability? And how do people stop putting everyone else in front of them? What are some of the signs that there is some instability? And then how do people even begin to put themselves? I know we talked about being empowered and all of that, but they want something practical. I often talk about, of course, it starts with a mindset shift. You said that earlier. It also starts with not only the mindset shift, but the decision, whether it's to stop saying yes to so many things and start saying no, making you the priority. But because you're right, they know you the therapist, right? I'm just glad for some people that are listening, they can hear you actually give yeses to the things that I often discuss. So what is it? What are some of the signs when someone is unaware of issues that could be mental or unstable? What's some signs that people can even begin to look for?
Now that is broad. Because what you'll find is somebody can have the exact same diagnosis and different symptoms. So without a proper assessment, that would be kind of difficult to do. But if you recognize, we're all pretty clear on like if something is wrong and if something's not quite right with an individual, we're all clear on that. So you just got to kind of play that by ear, and then of course have that difficult conversation with love to be able to say, here's some things that I see, and it's kind of concerning as it relates to our relationship, whatever that is, if it's work or family or friends or spouse. You want to kind of keep that kind of in your mind. But it would be very difficult for me to even dare say symptoms about what could possibly be a mental health issue without really having a proper assessment. But what I do want us to stop doing is labeling people bipolar and denial when we don't really know that, because I think we often do it because we're just looking at a shift. So if a person just, maybe their mood shift out, right, which all of ours does. So we could all probably tap into that label. But what has happened is people have just started using it all the time. Like, oh, she's in denial. Oh, she's in repression. Oh, she's depressed. Oh, and on some may be valid. But I think that when we start to do that, labels are big. And I'm really kind of anti-label, believe it or not, because I know it creates a stigma. And that is something that the mental health community deals with very, very, we try to do it as delicately as we can, but it's tough because it'll follow you no matter what. Even right now, when we talk about mental health, everybody likes to act like they're woke and they get it and they're aware until it's you or until it's someone you know. And then things change out. We see it happen all the time. And so that's something I hope we can do, is to, get rid of the stigma and start being able to accept it and being able to get the proper help that we need. I don't even know if I answered the question. I went on a whole tangent, but
No, that's good. That's good, because you hit the word, the stigma. You touched it again with another word, label. It's like, what are the labels that we've allowed on ourselves and or we put on others that are unjust, because we just actually sometimes don't even know, and because sometimes we're missing pieces of their puzzle. We don't know their particular backstory. We haven't been privy to their childhood trauma, huh? We haven't been privy to some of those things. And so what we know is what we believe we're seeing. uh, Instead of getting to learn a person and know a person, we immediately, are guilty of attaching a label, or saying things and having conversations that shouldn't be had unless you really truly know people. It's nothing worse than you not liking a person because somebody else don't like them, right? We grown folk on here, right? We grown. I know that that's not proper English, but we grown on here. And people are, and we need to get away from that. She talked about stigma, talked about being, even empowering. We need to be empowered to stop putting labels on people that are not just, that are not true. And matter of fact, beyond prayer, if you are a person that believes in speaking things into existence in a positive light, start speaking to that speaking to those things in a positive way, and saying whatever they may be going through, and you can pray for people without them even ever knowing, because I know that I'm grateful. I know that there are people that have, prayed for me or called me out in a good way. And I feel that energy, because I'm definitely about the energy. It's about an energy. That's why you can come into a room and change things for the greater or for the negative. We're talking about red, white, blue, and you. It's the things that set you off, right? It's the things that make you angry. But then what are the things, when you think about blue, what are those things that even can calm you down? When you see a person or hear something that even calms you down, what does that look like? Or are you the person that's in that white space? Is it something where you feel clean and pure? Or is it white noise because of so much going on? Again, for those who are jumping on and tuning in right now, I have the privilege, the honor to be talking to Jacqueline E Smith, who is a licensed therapist, and she is currently on the West Coast. So again, we thank her for being a part of this On Her Shift TV, this self-care Saturday, because it is about you. I'm Shawanna Kennedy, your SelfFirst strategist, and I get to have this amazing conversation with Jackie today. And we're going to jump into even some more. Yes, ma'am.
So there's some questions in the chat. I don't know.
Let's
Are you
see.
going in
Hold on,
order?
hold on. Okay. I know I can move back and forth, because I told people. So thank you again for the people who sent me in tons. So I'm going to take one from the feed right now. What happens when the safe place changes? When it goes from truth to being judgmental? That's good. What happens when the safe place changes, when it goes from being truth to being judgmental? I love that question, whoever asked that. Thank you.
So just want to kind of make sure I'm understanding it. So when the safe place goes from being safe to judgmental, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm going to interpret it the best way that I can. It's saying, for example, we talked about a few minutes ago about having that person or that place that you can go and you believe you can have this authentic conversation. This unapologetic. You my person. I'm letting it all. My hair is down, no lashes, no makeup. This is what's up, and it goes from being something like that from you telling your truth or even your truth to them.
Correct.
But then it goes to now you're being viewed as being judgmental.
Got it. Got it. So in that case, of course, that's another conversation, right? And this is why I say empower, 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 empower. Speak, speak, speak. Stand, stand, stand. Use your voice, voice, voice. So be able to say, hey, you know what? I know you care about me. I know that's probably not your intention, but here's how that comes across for me. And even if it's not, I think my sister's on here, so I'm gonna call her out because she is on here. I did that before on numerous occasions. She can, of course, verify that. And she said, no, this is how it impacted me. And that allowed me to say, you know what? Then I received that. That was not my intention though, because I thought I was big helping, right? But at the end of the day, it still was her perception. And I think that we have to understand that value, because just because intentions and perceptions don't meet doesn't mean you're wrong or I'm right and you're right and I'm wrong. That's actual, because if you say I perceived it as, that's what I have to accept, even though not my intention. And I think sometimes that causes the biggest breakdown in communication, because intentions and perceptions don't meet up. So understand and know that when it turns to what you feel is judgmental or vice versa, have that conversation so that you can be able to identify the perception and the intention. And then you'll have a better situation in terms of understanding to be able to walk away from that. And remember, just because a person perceived it that way, it doesn't mean that was your intention, and vice versa. So understand that, have that conversation, and then just move past it so that you'll be able to have those conversations and keep moving and trust their conversations with you going forward. I hope I answered that.
Yes, thank you. That is good. So whoever asked that, thank you again. Uh, Another person even commented because they heard me talk about the red, white, and blue, and they said sometimes like the white can suggest being empty. Mm. Yes, I'm telling you, y'all juicy over here.
That's deep.
Yes, and you are correct, and that's why sometimes you don't get what you believe you should be getting from some people, and or they're not doing what they need to do for them. I'm big on having the first relationship outside of with our creator, right? We've established that. But that other relationship should be with who? The who, y'all know. The who is you. When I talk about self first, it's about you, not selfishly. It's selflessly loving you enough to build and work on your own relationship. Because we know that there are scriptures that tie into the fact of what? Talk about even loving your neighbor as yourself. But do you really love yourself? That's why some of our relationships with our neighbors, whether it's our neighbor, our friend, our coworker, some of those are strained because what is the relationship that you're having with yourself? Are you having those type of relationships because of the lack of something that you're needing or that you're missing or that you don't even realize? But that's why you have to have the courageous conversation, the uncomfortable conversation with you first. So thank you for that comment. Let's see, somebody else in the comments. It's how do you feel about mental health medication versus alternative methods and treatments?
I'm a big advocate for
medical
both.
health? Yeah.
I'm an advocate for both, because what I learned and understood just with my education and in my work experience is that some people are going to need medication to level out some things, right? And in doing that, also in collaboration with individual therapy, you're going to be able to reach your desired goals and treatment. So understand that. And I think that's one of the biggest things with the African American community. We don't want to take medicine. And I think a lot of it, we're thinking it's going to shift us out. Understand and know medicine does take a little bit of time to kind of get exactly that right dose for you. But the reality of it is, if it's necessary and you need it and it can level off some chemical imbalances, which is typically what contributes to a lot of mental health issues, understand that it is valuable in collaboration with therapy. And if you feel like you get to a nice space where you can do without the therapy at some point and just continue to take the medication at a lower dose, you can absolutely do that, but don't shy away from it. I think it's wonderful.
Great. Thank you. Because I agree as well. They both have their place because there's some certain practical things that you can start doing just by even start. How about this, guys? Stop being so easily accessible. Yeah. Sometimes we're too easily accessible to others that add on additional stressors and strain. We're even being and creating better boundaries, right? Stop being so easily accessible. Watch those boundaries that can even before you ever make the phone call to a counselor or therapist, before you ever even get to possibly needing the medication. We know, like you said, we have the expert on here, and sometimes we know life and your body, your chemistry, your balance may still require that. But I'm speaking to the person who that you're someone else's dumping ground, right? You're the person that, yeah, you're the city dump, and you allow people to not only put labels on you, but you allow people to bring all their stresses to you. And you got to be better in this season. It's not only needed, but it's necessary for you to stop being so easily accessible and create better boundaries and be okay to begin to use your voice, as Jackie, pointed out a little while ago. So to our next question, they want help with, we talk about it, self first. What do you suggest? Because here it is when you talk about or bring in this piece of identifying childhood trauma, when you see things that may have happened to you. Like, for example, I have been open and honest about certain things that happened to me in my childhood. And I'm grateful to God through my self work that I can now talk about, being molested and things like that to help share my story. But for some people, when they think about the childhood trauma, some form of physical, mental, verbal abuse, and then it shows up now, and they're held, they keep their own self in bondage and can't find their way to break free to say, it is about me and a healthier me. How can you help that person that could be possibly dealing with some childhood trauma that every now and then wants to rise up, but as they are trying to do what they need to do for them to just help them a little bit further along the way, who's not quite ready to make the call to a therapist? How can you help somebody with that, just dealing with childhood trauma and in their walk with putting themselves first?
So thank you for trusting me enough to share that information in the audience today. So I appreciate that, and always have. We talked many times about it, and I think that's your healing tool. You have to own it. And I think that's why some people struggle to heal, because they're not talking about it, and they don't want to talk about it, and they don't want to bring it back up, and they don't want anybody to know. And I think that has to stop. And I think other than that, if you can do anything, you could take meds, you can do therapy. If you quit and you don't want to continue talking about it, you don't want to bring it up, you don't want to address it, it's going to continue to haunt. And then I'm going to give a little bit of bad news, just because I want to always be honest. It's going to haunt you periodically, no matter what you do, because it is a traumatic experience. So let's be clear. So there will be times, no matter what, probably on your best day, that it'll just sneak up under everything that you're doing. And that is the reason it's traumatic. That's the whole point, right? Because it kind of gets into your DNA from that point forward. But you have to do a lot of work to be able to get past it. And I think, and I applaud you, Shawanna, as I've talked to you many, many times before, for being vocal, being verbal, being able to stand your ground, being able to own it, understanding you did absolutely nothing wrong in that situation, and being able to continue going forward. I do believe that you've helped many people be able to feel that and understand and believe, to your point earlier, that they can move forward and that they can heal and be in a better predicament. And I think that, I would love to tell you a lot of fluff and stuff, but the reality of it is, if you don't own it, if you don't take responsibility for it, if you don't discuss it, if you don't address it, you're going to struggle. That will be ongoing.
That definitely speaks to that empowerment piece. We have to be okay to empower ourselves. Sometimes, yes, can we listen at somebody motivational, have a conversation, but it has to come, and it ultimately goes back to, y'all know I'm gonna be saying that through this whole thing, it has to do with you and you saying, this is for me, this is what I need, because I know that there is more. This is not all there is. There is definitely more. I believe that we can we don't have to die to reap some of the benefits of what we believe heaven might be.
For sure.
We can have heaven on earth, and it has to be a choice. It has to be us having conversations and having these candid conversations around our feelings, and that are they're really what's going on with us, and it's being okay to say that, because sometimes we allow people in our space, or how about this? You have people who, we spoke a little bit about the longevity of our time here on this earth, which it's over decades. It's decades of time and space. But for some people, they try to keep people in a permanent spot, right? Versus knowing that those things or those people were temporal and they were seasonal, and it's holding up the moving forward in their freedom to be, right? For them to be, I say, in order for you to like self first and own her shift, own his shift, to move to where and navigate to where you believe that God could be calling you to be, they're still tied into that. I know you got a thought, so let me hear it. What's your thought?
My thought is, reading my mind, it is factual. You can't move forward until you make a decision. I don't care who you are. So you do have to be empowered and have the intestinal fortitude and strength to be able to make those choices. And it's something I post all the time. It ain't mine. I'd love to take credit for it, but I can't. It's a meme. The truth is the right decision and the hardest decision are often the same. And once we make peace with that, we'll be able to do it. But I think a lot of times we're like, you know what, I'm gonna wait. I think this is gonna work out, because we already know what's gonna follow that. We know there's gonna be some pain. We know there's gonna be some hurt, right? We know you have to call somebody and act like we crying, or we might have to call somebody and cry for real, or we might have to just say, oh my God, I don't believe. We know what comes subsequent that decision, hence the reason we don't make it. But I encourage you today, because everything you're looking for is on the other side of that choice. I'm done.
Wonderful. I hope you are enjoying this conversation with Jacqueline E Smith. I'm excited. So let's get into another question, because I'm telling you, they were coming in. My phone was blowing up and people were texting me with some of these questions. So here is one. How do you overcome work hurt after being betrayed by someone that that they reported to you, and now they're in your old position? I'm going to repeat that. How do you overcome work hurt after being betrayed by someone that reported to you, and now due to a structure difference, now they have your old position?
Okay. So the same concept would apply no matter what. So whether it was work, a relationship, friendship, it doesn't matter. That's not going to change out. You got to decide what you want to do with that. If there's a conversation that you feel like you need to have, remember, we have to be okay with apologies that we will never get. And we have to be okay with somebody acknowledging our perception and truth. We have to be okay with them saying, yeah, no, that's not what I meant. And that is why those conversations are so difficult. Just because you're having it doesn't mean the person is going to say, oh, you know what, you're right. They may not do that. And that's why before you go into those conversations, you have to be understanding that, you know what, they may not apologize. They may not see it that way. That's why if I'm going to have a really challenging conversations, I need to be okay with my stance on it and what I'm going to bring to the table. So that way I can also be accepting if they don't agree and if they challenge that, because the reason you're having it has nothing to do with them, but we often do that. We're having conversations with people with expectations from them. And then that kind of ruins the whole point of having that conversation. So if you need to have it, have it. But to Shawanna's point, this is all about you. You got to figure something else that's happening for you that's causing you to kind of keep those feelings going, minus that conversation. Probably once you have it, if you need to, you're going to start feeling better about it, and then just kind of move forward. Understand that people will make mistakes. People will lie on you. People will talk about you. That's going to be ongoing no matter what happens. So when you kind of keep those things in mind, it'll kind of let you know, like, you know what, this is a part of it. It's part of that thing called life. People do that. And so I'm going to brush that off so I can get to the next thing. To Shawanna's point, you got to keep moving. And when you start holding on to old things, you keep that energy, and it's going to prevent you from being able to move to whatever the next level is that you're supposed to be going to. Because trust and believe, you're carrying that. And if nothing else, I would want to release that, be it a conversation or just you making a conscious decision to feel and do something different.
Wonderful. I love it. I love it. I love it. Here is a good one. Do you think that it is a culture thing? Because I know you spoke to about us being African American, us as a people. Do you think that that's something that we've even that we're taught, and because of what they didn't know, right? Because sometimes we're taught based on what they were taught. The cultural thing about not putting ourselves first, that everybody else comes first and then you. Do you think that's a cultural thing? Do you, or speak, because right now I want to speak to it to help us, to help the people that are looking and listening, and even if you watch this on a replay. Do you think it's cultural, or even just speak to it in general about us, everybody always, or because they've been taught to do that, beyond women? Because I know we do have some male viewers, beyond the women, even for men being providers and protectors, putting themselves or not getting the proper things that they need to make them even more so able to be a house band, right? If they're the husband, being that house band. Speak to that about that being a cultural thing. That, do you think there's something that we're taught?
I don't want to say taught, but I do think we see it a lot in our culture. But I will say, men are kind of designed a little bit differently. So really kind of doesn't really matter their ethnicity or culture. Men are natural providers. So when you say he works too much, he's always gone, the kids don't know him, he's not home, that's going to be across the board. So I don't really think that is the impact of not putting ourselves first. I do think that we are impacted by that just because of history, has almost, just because of our history, and I ain't trying to take us back to slavery, but I just want to be honest, that's our origin. And I think that because of that, we started off this game, if you will, feeling not valued and feeling like it wasn't important. And slavery shifted us into a mindset of just working and working for others and providing. Because even with that, even when it opened up and Black people were paid for doing work, it still created that grind of, I got to keep doing it so we can come far away from slavery, right? I got to keep doing it. So some of that is culture, but it's really our history though. And I think that that's our shift to make in terms of, how do I rearrange my family dynamics so that this is different? And that is a conversation from us and our house and our kids and our spouses. That's our conversation to have. How do we shift this out? I know even with my own kids, I'm constantly, talking with them, sitting with them. I have a start, stop, continue that I do with them. Not a whole lot. They're older now, but I do it when I can. How do you think I'm doing? And I've heard people, when I say that, like, oh, like, we ain't asking that, but we need to. Because you could be thinking you're doing an incredible job, and it might not be their perception, although it's your intention. And so we have to be conscious of that. And I think we create the shift that we want to see. You're in charge of that.
I love it, right? Because of course we're talking about the shift, and that shift means in order for me to even turn and move in this chair, it required me to do some moving. It requires some action, and people have to stop sitting still. Yes, there's a time and place to get in a still space so you can hear more clearly, but then there's also a time to get up and do something, get off your do something and do something about it. So, right, that shift. And I love what you said about the start, stop, and continue. I love it. And I'm definitely going to do something else with that. So y'all know that y'all heard
You
it
know
from
what?
Jackie,
I
but I
just
will
want
be
to
doing
actually, I
something.
didn't mean to cut you off. But I actually, that came from corporate America. I used to work in corporate America many moons ago. But they used to do that as a like career focus. And of course I'm a psychology major, so I'm thinking of it differently. But what it is what should we start doing? What should we stop doing? What's working well and we should continue? And because I think of it, Shawanna, you probably want to mute. I'm even hearing the feedback. But what we started doing when we did that, it allowed me to look at it from a psychological standpoint. And then I carried it in to when I, got into this practice. And that's when I started saying, you know what, this concept is incredible. And so because I had it a long time ago, I was able to use it with my kids, earlier on, like, how am I doing? I think I'm doing pretty good. And I'll share this. My son probably would hate that I'm gonna share it, but I'm gonna share it anyway. My son was like, well, I don't like when you're like yelling at me when I'm out too late, right? Because immediately I got defensive, like, are you kidding me? You should have been in the house, right? But his perception was, and he said to me, but when you do that, it ruins my night. And then I don't feel so. We have to shift and rearrange those conversations to have and create the relationships in our families that we want. That's our job. And so I said, okay, that's not my intention, right? I'm worried. I was just upset. I didn't hear you, da, 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 da. So naturally I started, yelling a little bit. But I had to receive his message because he was saying, now you call me and everything's ruined, which that's not my intention. I'm just concerned. But minus the conversation doing that, I would have never gotten that feedback. He would have just went on, never saying a word, probably thinking in his mind, she's always yelling. I'm not going to answer the phone again. And so that's what I'm saying. We got to stop, rearrange, how they say, do something different so you can get a different outcome. Otherwise, this continues. I don't even know what was the question?
No, that's good, but let's stay right there for 1 second.
Okay.
Because I recall having a conversation with one of my sisters, and it was probably in the last year. And I don't know, we were talking about some childhood stuff, and she was like, yeah, because I was mad at you for a long time because I felt you left me. Now, mind you, we're right. Mind you, we are kids, probably teens, in our teens. So it's not that I physically left her. And I mentioned earlier about some things that was happening to me personally, traumatic, right? So therefore, when she said, "But you left me," and I was like, "Wait, what?" And this is something within a year ago of having this conversation. And we full grown right now. I have adult children and a school ager. So I was like, wait, what? When did I leave you? And she was just recalling, going back to that time and that space, to where during this conversation, she clearly, you could see that it's really still bothered her enough to where she was able to voice it even now. So how do you even help people where, again, she's holding this something from decades ago, our childhood, where I physically didn't leave her, but because I was dealing with my own set of circumstances, that she felt something from me, but because not having a conversation, right, it then later showed up decades later that it still was something that's been on her heart and mind. How do you help somebody to even have a sibling that they're saying, life, whether you a person that might have lived in not maybe the greatest of conditions, and everybody trying to just do what they need to do to survive, right? Not just thrive but survive. How do you even speak to something like that?
I think I'm gonna reiterate what we just said. These conversations got to take place. The problem is we're not having it. And to be honest with you, that is a point and an example of what I was talking about a second ago. If you do not address it, if you do not have the conversations, it doesn't go away. And it's something I even say in therapy. I get clients that come in and they're resistant. They're just not ready. And I'm okay if you're not ready. And I accept you're not being ready right at this moment. But I also need you to take away with you that this doesn't leave. It's going nowhere. It stays until you're willing to unpack it. And so, it took her to this point to be able to do that. And I have to say kudos. Some people never do it. So, but again, that is those conversations. But I think you have to be in a space to be able to have it. I think that, but for you being in the space you were in, she wouldn't have had it with you. And remember, if you're in an environment where there's a lot of unhealthy, unhealed people, it's tough to have those conversations because they're not ready. I've had people run out of my office, slam doors, right? Because they're not ready. And sometimes you hearing what's real is not what you bargained for, right? And that can be painful. And I'm okay with that. I'll let you sit with it so you can process through it and then take it away. And it goes back to your point again, perception, intentions. Your perception of what happened was not that you left her. I mean, your intention, but her perception of that was that you did leave me. And that's why we have to have these conversations.
Yeah, thank you for speaking to that. One of the things that came to mind is now too, even with we talked about stuff opening back up and helping people, as some people are now being forced, right? Because we know a lot of people, not everybody. We know that we know some people, and we're grateful for everybody who has been frontliners and everything throughout this whole ordeal, this whole thing that we've been dealing with. But the people that are now being forced to go back in to work versus working virtually, to help them as they prepare to go back in. I know some people personally that even as early as next week and all throughout the month of July they will be then bringing everybody back into the office. Help some people right there in that space that are possibly about to go back in. Uh, Give them some type of nugget to help them as they process that, because everybody are not ready to go back. It's beyond, like you said, I'm vaccinated as well, and um, beyond the vaccination, just the fact of even now realizing that there is more, that whole piece of it's more, and you realizing because of by force people were forced to be at home, but then for some, minus the loss, I lost people as well, but minus that loss, the stuff that we gained by being at home, but now they're having to go back into the office. Speak to that a little bit.
Um, I will say this, and I've said this before. We will never be the same since the pandemic. I don't care who you are. And I speak as a nation. We're never going to be the same. The world has changed. The workplace has changed. And I would actually empower you to have those conversations with your employer, because they even know it's changed. And to be really, really honest, they've kind of lost some of their power and they know it. And I think that's why now they're flexing out. You want to work 410s? You want to work 312s? You want to work Saturday? You want to work Monday? They realized it, because once the pandemic pushed us all in our homes and they were able to see, and you were able to see, I did my job with no issues. The game has changed. So you now have some power you didn't have before. How many times people want to work at home? I'm not a work at home person, just for the record though, but I know people love it. So I say that to say, if that's something you truly want, once again, I'm going to empower you today. Have that conversation with your employer and just say, hey, you know what? This worked out fine. I don't have any issues. There's nothing going on in terms of my performance. I feel like this is a good choice for me, especially right now for me and my family with the other concerns that are coming about. Once again, though, have the conversation.
Yeah, that's a big word. If you're not, if you haven't caught it, we have to. I'm big on saying get the stress out of here. But part of that stress is having the necessary conversations. Yes, with yourself, being okay to then say, what do I need to write down so that I can articulate what it is that my heart is feeling and that I know that I need to get across. Start to have those conversations with yourself and the ones you love, the people that you work with and work for, even people that you may have charge over. Be okay to own it and have those conversations and be able to stand in it unapologetically, doing what you need to do to continue to grow, because we know that's why it's life. We get a choice. You choose to grow, right? If we were to stop right now, you're either working towards living, or you're sitting still and just preparing to leave this place, right? But I choose to live and have the best abundant life that I possibly can. And that's why I say I get a choice. We get a choice, y'all. We give up that power every day when we allow the opinions of others, when we allow uh, what we would be looking to hear from somebody else to steal our happiness, to steal our joy, to stop us from being who we are purposed and intended to be. Uh, one
You
of
know
the
what, Shawanna?
questions that, yes, ma'am.
I was going to say, to go to that point, this is a complete freebie for everybody. This is kind of like therapy 101. It's something that I do with every single person, couple, child that I see. What's the behavior? And is it taking you closer to what you want or further away from what you want? And then you fill in the gaps. And that's a very basic way to kind of look at yourself and make an overall assessment. If you say, hey, I want to be a therapist, right? And then it's like, okay, you want to be a therapist. So what are you doing right now that's helping you get there? Are you in school currently or are you not? So you have to look at that and say, okay, well, so what can you do? Those are just kind of basic, like core stepping stones to kind of do an assessment in your life. I just use therapy as an example, but whatever the issue is that you're dealing with, put that on the table and just say, well, this is what I want. And then I'm going to look at my current behavior, and is it taking me closer to that or is it taking me away from that? And then fill in the blanks to figure out how you need to get closer to that. So, and that's a basic therapy 101, psych 101, like figure out what it is and where you want to be, and is your behavior getting you there or taking you away from that?
I love it. I love it. So I hope you are taking notes, and don't forget to make sure you get your questions in the comments, because we are still here with Jacqueline E Smith, who is a licensed therapist by way of West Coast today. And I'm excited about this conversation. Another question that was given to me is it emotionally good to totally shut down and avoid communication altogether? What's your thoughts on that? Is it good to totally shut down and avoid communication altogether? Ooh.
So, absolutely, unequivocally, never, ever, ever, ever is it okay. It is, in fact, toxic. And so, the whole I'm not talking to you, we don't talk no more, I'm silent treatments is toxic, unhealthy behavior. And just because I love you all, I got to tell you the truth on that. It is unhealthy behavior. We have a voice and we have a choice, and we can use all of them, right? And use it. When somebody offends you, tell them. You owe them that. And that's the thing we're not doing. The reason you're not talking is because you're now hurt and you don't feel like it's going to be heard or valued. So it's like, I'm done, right? I'm not going to take no calls. I'm not going to take no text messages. I'm just going to be silent to my husband or my wife in the house. I encourage you to stop doing that. It is very, very, very unhealthy behavior, and it does not resolve any of the issues that is causing you to do that. None of them.
Yay, I love it. I love it. I don't know if she's actually even still listening, because one of the things, I'm glad whoever sent that question, I love it again. So thank you. Thank you again, everyone who has sent in your questions and for being vulnerable, because I believe every question that was sent is something that you truly did want to know for yourself, or even if not for yourself, to be able to better assist someone in something that they could potentially be going through. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And what I personally have called something like that, and that's why I love the way they put it, was like going dark, right? And in that, it's like, because when a person then speak to that same question, but then adding, now that they have, after being silent and shutting down, right? Because again, there is a place for stealing away, getting clarity. But I'm a believer in, for example, if I know that I'm about to, shut it down for a couple of weeks, whether it's due to school, because I know at times, as Jackie was finishing parts of her schooling, she would tell me and say, "Hey, this is what's going on with me with school. So love you, sis, but school is what's going on with me these next few weeks. I have exams, yada, yada, yada. We have to be okay to have those upfront conversations so that people won't feel that one, that you fell off the face of the earth, right? Especially because you do have people, I don't care if it's that one somebody that does love you, that does care about you, and you kind of do owe it to say, this is what's going on with me. So if you don't hear from me, I'm good, but I'm doing what I need to do to hammer through what's going on with me currently in this season. So what about people that then they do that because something could be going on, but they have not spoke to that thing, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, and then they then show back up, turn the light back on, and they want to keep going like they never they didn't leave the scene. But because there's no communication now, stuff, then they want to go back to, if this happened in January, they disappear till June, July, and now they come back in like, hey girl, what's up guy, like you just didn't lose this time span. We went through 2 or 3 seasons. How do you help somebody like that may have to deal with that?
So remember, another person's behavior has zero to do with you. Zero to do with you. So obviously when a person does that, that has everything to do with them and something that they're feeling. But what I do try to make sure, whether in my own life or in my professional life, I hold people accountable for behavior that impacts me. So I haven't heard from you in 2 or 3 months, and I'm just trying to make sure we're okay. Did I do something wrong? Did I say anything? Or, are we okay? You have a right to have those conversations. But to your point, if they've been gone and they've not called, they've not talked, they've not called back, assuming there was some type of outreach, then you have that conversation once again to say, hey, we've not talked in months. And I wasn't even sure if we were even okay. I mean, is everything okay? And again, that creates that conversation, but it also lets them know that I got to identify this, right? I got to be able to let you know how, remember, perception and intentions may never meet, but they don't change either one. So my perception was, maybe you were upset with me, and you may find out the person says, oh my God, I was never upset with you. I had like 10 papers to write in 3 days. I was never upset with you. But minus the conversation, you don't get the information. And then without the information, you can't make a good decision. But I wanted to say something that I teach kids a lot of times. It's called, what it is just a red, yellow, and a green light. It's a traffic light. And we teach kids how to emotionally regulate themselves doing that. Like when you have a red light, you are just really upset, we're going to stop all communication. And then when you start to calm down on the yellow light, we can reapproach it. And then green, obviously, we can go and have the conversation. And what I found in doing that with kids, I had parents that said, I never learned that. I never learned that. So we have a lot of adults who are unemotionally regulated. And because of that reason, they don't know how to do that. Not good or bad, it just is. But we can teach them that, right? You teach people how to treat you. I don't like the thing of, treat me the way you want to be treated. I don't know how you want to be treated, and I might not like it. So let me teach you how to treat me, right? That's my thing. So with that red, yellow, and green light, understand and know you can only go on red when you agree to come back at a conversation. In other words, I'm upset with Shawanna about I don't know what. And I said, Shawanna, you know what? This isn't a good time. Let's talk tomorrow. And then that way we can pick back up where we are. And that way cooler heads will prevail. And then we can kind of take it and have a better conversation. That's the adult way to do that. But if you walk away not talking, don't talk, don't take calls, don't reach out, that's unhealthy behavior. And I just have to call it like it is, because I just don't want to be on here telling y'all something to make y'all feel amazing, right? I want to be able to tell you the truth so that you understand and know that it is not healthy behavior. In fact, it is toxic behavior. So that needs to be addressed right away. Lots of people do it. It still doesn't make it right. But if you learn to emotionally regulate yourself, know when it's not a good time for you to talk. You have every right to tell people, this isn't a good time. I'm not in a good space right now to have this conversation. You have every right to tell people that. But we don't do it. We continue to have conversations when we're emotionally charged, and they go all the way off the rails. And sometimes it's difficult to come back from those conversations when that happens.
Yay, definitely. Yes, 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 and yes. You spoke to, of course, what I'm a believer in, that we teach people, because we teach them every day how to treat us. If that's good, it We get what we allow. How about that? We get what we allow. We know sometimes a person may not know you, but if they're getting to know you, that's why it behooves you to show up being you. Because what happens is for some people, they wear masks, they come in believing they should be a certain way. And then when the person who you really are starts to then seep out, they're like, wait, what's going on? That's why be you, be okay to be who you are. And if it's something about you that you don't like, we get the choice to change it, right? It's about the shift. It's about, even remember everything. It does. It starts in the mind. Sure, should we feel certain things in our heart? Most definitely. But it starts with the mind, because then you have to then move, right? Move to action in having those conversations. Move to action in, even me, people see me all the time, because we could even use, I'll use weight. Jackie, I know she is a runner. It's nothing for us to see on social media, her out after a run showing a pair of her tennis shoes, or showing us the sun coming up because she's gotten out early in the day to get her run in. Do what you need to do for you. It is about you. This has to do with you. So this is the one uh, place that is a safe space for you to say, yeah, it actually is about me. Where you won't get anybody saying, no, it's not. Yeah, we can say, yeah, you want to say, matter of fact, put it in the chat. Help us out. Say, it is about me. Put it in the chat. If you're looking, you listen to say, it is about me. That's right, because that's a step into you taking an action just to type those words in and then speak it out loud. I can't physically hear you, but you hear you. The universe hear you. Say, it is about me, and I am doing what I need to do. And if I'm a person that's already doing it, yes, I'm in the right space, and I'm going to continue to go harder to help keep me in the space that I need to be. She spoke about even doing certain things like she gets her regular massage because she knows that's needed to help balance her out. And so that she possibly is better for her children, better for her partner, right? I know the same thing for me. A lot of people, even eating right. So we'll just touch it just so you can say that. We know that having the proper diet definitely regulates certain things with our mind, with our body, with our spirit. Eating certain things that you shouldn't be eating, it not only adds to weight gain, but it also can fog your brain. How about that? It not only adds to weight gain, but it fogs your brain. So that, I mean, not that I'm not trying to put people like Jackie and other people that's in that profession out of business, but they would rather us be healthier. I know she would. I know she would rather us be healthier. So watch what you're eating. Matter of fact, drink your water. While we talking, if you had a cup of coffee, it's after 9 in some places. It's after 1 o'clock here. Get you another glass of water. Start there. And as you're drinking the water, as you're drinking, think those positive things. I'm definitely, because for a season in my life, I was a person who on this self-first journey, yes, because it is a journey. It's not a day trip. It's a journey. Doing the affirmations are amazing, but they're only just a part of it. Yes, should we speak positive things over ourselves? Yes, we should. I'm a person that I know I'm not perfect. No, I am not. But I daily, if I catch myself saying something that I know does not speak to, like she said, it's either taking you closer towards the goal or pushing you back. If I catch myself in the head space, or even if I allow it to come across my lips, I will take it back and say, no, I didn't mean to say that. I mean it this way. And even if I'm by myself, because I talk to myself, but I also answer myself. How about that? I talk to myself and I answer myself. And it's okay. I'm just saying. So again, let me see. I think I have a couple of questions on here. Did you want to say something to that before I ask this question?
What's the question? Oh, Camille has a question. It says, you can read it, Shawanna.
All right. Looking at this question, anybody that knows Camille, she can, give you a bunch of stuff. So we love her. So thank you for tuning in, West Coast. Let's see. What's that question? It is, what happens when people don't want to respond to your questions and are saying, hey, we haven't talked in months? What happens when people don't want to respond to your questions and are saying we haven't talked in months. That's the first part. So let's speak to that one.
So what happens when people don't want to respond to your question? So I think what I'm hearing is that if people are not responding, but yet saying we've not talked in months, so we already know that's a little bit of gaslighting, right? Because now you're trying to make me believe something we know ain't accurate. That's a fact. So we definitely want to speak to that. I mean, it would be like me. Me and my niece have an ongoing joke, which I love to do it. I always call her when I haven't talked to her in a long time, and I just say, "Oh, now you want to pick up the phone?" And she's like, "Auntie, you didn't call me," right? And we laugh about it. My point is, that's just them, right? It has nothing to do with you. So if you say we haven't talked in a while, then let's be clear. I've called you, right? Again, I know y'all tired of me saying that. Conversations and being with people and being real with them and being able to say, now let's be honest, right? Let's not say we ain't talked in a while, because you and I both know I've called you a couple times. And that's a real conversation to have. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that, especially if you're with people that you love and care about and they love and care about you. And the second part of that is, what is that? Certainly we can't make people talk.
I believe it is saying we can't make people talk, but what happens when they don't want to respond to our question? What happens when they don't want us to respond to the question? And she said, "This is
I get what I see
Yeah.
what she did, because she came back and she was speaking to the fact that we need to have these conversations when they don't want to. So Shawanna, you probably need to mute. But when that happens, speaking to that point, Camille, when that happens and people are shut down, remember, go into these conversations with zero expectations. Because if you are expecting them to behave, act, respond in a certain manner and they don't, you're going to be disappointed. And that disappointment is going to lead to a whole array of other things that we ain't finna get into. So I'm saying that to say, you know what? I need to let Shawanna know how that made me feel. I don't know her response. I don't know if she's going to agree with it. I don't even know what's going to happen. But I'm going to walk into this conversation. I'm going to call her up and say this, and then I'll take it from there. Because the thing about it is, I don't have any expectations of how she may react. So now I can walk away from that conversation knowing I let you know how I perceived what took place. But if you go into it with expectations, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to be disappointed. And I'm going to speak to one of the things that I often find, and I speak to when I have an adult or a child in my office that has been abused in any manner, sexual, physical, or emotional. And I say, if they get to the point of addressing the perpetrator, I need you to know there's zero expectations from them, because there's some people that will deny that until the end. So you have to be okay with that. The conversation that you're having is for you. It doesn't have anything to do with them. But I think a lot of times when we are having conversations, we have expectations from the other person. And then that's when we get the disappointments.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Again, this has been a juicy conversation. We are actually preparing to wrap it up because we're going to have to get with this busy young lady to definitely have a part two. Again, I thank everyone who has been taking the time to listen, tune in, and just have this self-care Saturday moment. This moment of making it about you, or even someone that you love and that you want to be able to be of a greater assistance to them. I'm so excited. The comments and everything with the people on here, of course, saying, look at that one. Look at that one right there. I think you need to see that one. And just in case you missed it, So I'm so glad to even see, right. To
Hey,
see,
Mom.
or even if it's in text of some people that I haven't seen, right, or heard anything from for years. So how are you, Mama Smith? So I'm just excited to us being able to have these conversations, because relationships really do matter. They matter. And you need to be having with relationships with people that can help grow you as well as you grow them, for us to be about what it is that we know we called to do, right? That we know we have a responsibility to ourself first, right? Outside of the relationship with your creator, but then it has to start with you. One of the first gifts that we were ever given was our own life. And it's like, what life are you choosing to live? What life are you choosing to live? What life are you holding back on because of possibly something that someone said, or something that you believe that might be said that really actually don't even matter? What is it that you know you need to be moving on even today? Give us this day our daily bread. What could we be doing today that our future self will thank us for? Right? Even being in this moment in time right here, because I'm all about, when you think about putting yourself first and things like that, it's even about understanding the importance of being in the moment, is being present right here. It's like I could think about things that I have to do this afternoon, but no, I have to choose to be in this conversation. I have to choose to be a part of what's going on right now, so that I don't miss the opportunity, so that I don't miss out on the lesson, so that I don't miss out on something that could inspire me, empower me, motivate me to be a greater me, to help impact others, right? Because we do this in order to be of greater service to others. It has to start with us, because we all are in the business to serve somebody. I don't care if it's somebody in your home, whether you work with them, it's the people in your community. What are you doing to help strengthen you, so that the people that at arm's reach, at arm's length, that whether it's by your voice, by your smile, by your face, by your touch, by what you do, by what you put you into, that they're the greater because you were a part of their midst, that you have been a part of their life for whatever time span that might have been. You know, one of the things, I don't want to misstate it, but it is, people don't remember what you say, but they don't forget how you make them feel. What is it that you're doing for you, that the parts of you may not remember something loving that you said to yourself? So I definitely believe you should just tell yourself, I love you. I love me. Be able to look at yourself in a full glass mirror and say, you know what? From the top of my head to my tippy toes, I love me. I love me. I'm proud of me. I'm proud of what I see. And if it's something about me that I don't like, then I get the choice to do something about it. I get the choice to watch what I eat, watch what I drink, smoke or not smoke. Those things, those little practical things that you already need to know. We're so excited that Jackie actually gave us a bunch of practical tools. She talked about the start, stop, and the continue. She even talked about just a few minutes ago. We know that there are not any minors listening, but if you're listening, start applying it to yourself first, and then even to your kids about the stoplight. You know, the importance of using those practical tools and tips to continue the conversations with self first, and then with your children, with your colleagues, with your friends. It has to, whether you're a man, woman, boy, or girl, have to own it, have to call it out. When you call it and you name the thing, name it. Give the thing a name. Stop saying, I am stressed. No, what is causing that stress? It's not that I'm just stressed. Is it because you ate something that potentially could have too much sodium and that's giving you a headache? So be mindful about those things as you move towards owning it and doing the thing that is needed for you. Jackie, I am so thankful. And I am hippopotamus happy, and I am possum proud. Look, peacock proud of what God is doing for you in your life and the space that you get to impact, because I see you all over. For those you see, I did put up her social media right now. Definitely, she's going to tell you in just a moment as she give her closing remarks the best way to reach her. But she is on Instagram because she is such a busy bee. She is definitely not all over the other places on social media, but that is her social media handle right there. So you could even take a picture of the screen right here, because I definitely want you to stay and get connected if you're not connected. We're definitely going to have her back in this Own Her Shift space and helping us to continue to put ourselves first and be okay about it, doing it and articulating it and saying it the way we need to do. But I'm so grateful for this time, our time together. Thank you for everyone that tuned in, for who actually shared a heart, a love, and watched us by all ways of media streams. As you can see, I am definitely on social media everywhere. And I get to do what I do because of people like you, right? Right. You don't know, and because sometimes too, putting yourself first means sometimes you have to show up. Oh, can I say that? You got to show up, not only for you, but the other people. If you're saying, hey, I want to do this, do people even know that you exist? Do they know that you're there? Huh? How do you know? do it. Take people a part of the journey with you. Sometimes people just want to know. You don't got to give them everything, but start letting them see it. Take it a part of it, right? Eat what it, we've heard it say what? Eat the meat and throw out the bones. People are always going to have something negative to say. You don't have, that's not your business. How about that? That's not your business. So as we prepare to wrap up this episode of what? The Self First Movement Solutions, it is about you on her shift. Miss Jacqueline E Smith, I would love to know what is some more, what is your thoughts that you would want to leave with our viewing audience today and people that may even watch it on the replay. I'm excited. You know, I love you. I love you. I love you. And this has been amazing. So Jackie, just speak right now. Give us your final thoughts and comments, and be sure to tell them how they can find you.
So I want to first say thank you, right? And I'm just as proud of you as you are of me, and I appreciate your words. I do feel a sense of obligation, though, to our community, especially our women. And I think that, so if I'm available anytime, you can just call me. And I know you know that, Shawanna, and I'd be happy to sit in, answer questions, or do whatever I can do to be able to assist you, especially on this platform. But what I will say, moving with the Self First movement, which is Shawanna's theme, logo, lifestyle, all of it, I do think that we have to have conversations. I encourage everybody who can hear my voice even be empowered to have difficult conversations and just have them because you need to. And the reality of it is we want to, we're just not having them. And so be okay to put yourself first. Be okay to prioritize what's important for you first. Be okay to do that. And I know we've all seen the memes of you can't pour from an empty vessel. I'm actually tired of seeing that. But the reality of that is, it's true. I can't really help you until I help myself. And that means your husband, your sisters, your kids, your job. You're not really 100% able to do that. And I think in order for us to all show up at our best, and 100% of ourselves, we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves, which is why I was very excited to be able to come today when Shawanna asked me to be able to speak and answer questions if I could in any way that I can. I want to make sure that my responsibility as a mental health clinician is to be able to give our women, our culture, whatever information they need to be able to live their best life, live their desired life, and be able to reach the desired level that they want to be at. And so with that being said, be empowered, have these conversations, address any issues, start doing challenging things, assess it. Am I close to this goal? Is my behavior taking me or pulling me away? It's that simple. I could give you a whole big old book, but I'm not going to. Start small and continue to make those steps to get where you want to be.
Thank you. Now let them know how they can connect with you. Yes, let them know.
Oh, well, my Instagram is there. They don't know this. Shawanna knows this. I'm not a social media person. I mean, I'm savvy. It's just not my thing, right? Because there's so much stuff on there. And when I'm trying to keep my headspace in order, it's very difficult because there's a lot of stuff on social media that I absolutely can do without. I do like Instagram, though, and I am on there. And so it is on there at Pearl_Noir_12. You can connect with me. You can DM me if you need something. I will develop probably a page at some point because I do see the need is growing, and I'm absolutely going to use my gift to fulfill that need. So I have no problems doing that. But for now, they can actually reach me at Instagram.
Wonderful. Again, thank you, Jackie. Thank you to all the viewers. Thank you for all of those questions. We are going to, because even look, my smartwatch is going off with people asking me, still even asking me stuff now. But we will save those for. That's funny because my wrist is vibrating. That's funny. Thank you to everyone, especially to you, Jackie. You know I love you. And we're going to do this again sooner than later because it
I'm up for it.
About who.
I'm totally up for it.
Yeah, it's about you. Yeah. So as we get ready to disconnect from this platform, again, I love you. Thank you, guys. Enjoy. Have a safe holiday weekend. It's red, white, blue, and you. Think about what that really means. Like, write it down because that's part of it too. Sometimes for me, I know the right is to remember. Write down some stuff. Set a goal. It may take 30, 60, or 90 days, even longer. But it's about you. It has to be about you. I'm Shawanna Kennedy, your self-first strategist, and it has been my joy to serve you on today. I hope this was beneficial for you or someone you know and love. By all means, ma'am, sir, make sure you share. but also make you a priority. Put you back at the top of that to-do list because it is. It's about you. We will see you next time.
Okay, thank
Bye. Bye,
you.
guys. Thank you.